You know, it used to be that they promised if you bought a certain pair of shoes, you could run faster and jump higher. Yeah. How about a mouthpiece that they say can do the same? That's part of this story in this movement that's coming up.
We're just going to shoot several guys.
New at 10, most athletes use them to protect themselves from injury.
But believe it or not, there are new mouth guards that promise to also make you stronger. Sam checked out one of these mighty mouth guards and is joining us now to tell us how it worked for him. Sam? Tom, mouth guard might be a misnomer, and this one over my shoulder has nothing to do with what this entire movement is about. This one over my shoulder probably reminds you of one that you held into a boiling pot of water and then stuck in your mouth and it molded to your teeth. Well, anybody who's played a contact sport obviously has been involved with that. But this is much different. This is something that will put your head, neck, and jaw in a position that just might make you run faster and jump higher.
Wise move, missed the free throw. Now the three.
Down to the bottom comes Bodie Miller off that final jump, and he is into sixth place.
None of this hurts, by the way. My face is still popping, relaxing, and retraining the muscles. Look.
Tebow back, goes deep. He's got a man wide open.
Athletic performance is a measurable quality. Points scored, games won, seconds to the finish, baskets made, passes completed. All of these athletes, Chandler Parsons, Bodie Miller, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Tebow, they're all looking for a way to be at the top of their game. And they're all part of a new thought on how to take their game up another notch. It's called PPM. I asked Dr. Scott Wagner, a local neuromuscular dentist, to show me how a mouthguard could possibly improve athletic performance. I admit, I was pretty skeptical.
Your jaw is officially pulsing right now, okay?
Using a tensing device, we're retraining the muscles around my jaw in search of my most natural and relaxed jaw position.
It's the same way that we treat all of our neuromuscular clients. People that come to us because they've got obliterated mouths or TMJ pain, you're focusing on the muscles. If you don't focus on the muscles and getting them healthy or to a stable point, you can't build a stable bite.
You see my chin still popping while Dr. Wagner and his assistants take impressions of my bite. They're finding a baseline of information on how my teeth fit together and where my jaw naturally falls. Thankfully, they didn't find anything too out of the ordinary in this phase.
All right, Sam, this is the headgear here. We're going to bring
this contraption is actually just a measuring device. My jaw position is reflected on the computer screen by numbers relating to tension. None of this hurts, by the way. My face is still popping, relaxing, and retraining the muscles, looking for a stress value that's as close to zero as possible.
But you cannot make a performance-enhancing mouth guard unless you get it to where the muscles are most comfortable and stable. Then they say, okay, bite your teeth together, and then they go to the lab, take those upper and lower teeth, and then open it up to a standard 3mm opening. That's not going to work.
So rather than one size fits all, it's a custom process. We made 5 different impressions of my bite with this goop that they stuck in my mouth, having me move my jaw around, all the while studying the values on the readout, looking for my personal jaw fingerprint.
3, 2, 1.
Now using the mold, Dr. Wagner repeated the simple baseline test.
I just tweaked my shoulder.
There was no question I was able to create more resistance, but I was even more impressed with the increased flexibility I felt when my head, neck, and jaw were in my personal right position.
For an elite athlete, you would expect reasonable expectations of 1 to 3%. Are we all elite athletes? Absolutely not. But your dedicated amateur, your weekend golfer who's going out, you and me probably fill that void. 10 to 30% increase in strength, flexibility, and core balance is not unreasonable to think out of this.
Less than 2 weeks later, the finished product was in. It fit perfectly, but changed what I thought was my natural position.
Definitely put you in a different spot.
After double-checking with the same battery of tests, I was convinced that this new piece of equipment would absolutely improve anybody's performance.
It's all interrelated is what it boils down to. And the more we come into this neuromuscular dentistry, we're realizing this part affects this part. Our knee affects our hips. Hips affect here. Those are big concepts, and this is a big philosophical change. If I can give somebody a mouth guard that makes them feel great, but they happen to perform better, that's pretty cool.
PPM is known as a pure power mouth guard, and you saw the many celebrities and top athletes who are wearing them. There are a variety of different models, including ones that just are for basketball, allegedly a non-contact sport, and for obviously professional football. More than 30 members of the New Orleans Saints wore them, and about a half dozen to a dozen of the Indianapolis Colts did in this past year's Super Bowl. Bodie Miller had 5 different ones made based on different positions he was going to be in, based on the discipline, whether it was slalom, downhill, giant slalom, or anything like that. My PPM looks just like this, and that's all the bigger it is. And it is easy, without any problem, to put in, and you can talk. There are probably a half dozen guys on the PGA Tour who wear these while they play now. And they have developed them to the point where you can tell that I can communicate. If you were my caddy, we could communicate. It used to be, they'd be talking like this, oh, struggle back in, and they'd have to hit. But this really has become something. I've used it now for probably a month in my workouts. There's no question that it has improved my performance, my stamina,
bike
and
riding?
endurance.
Yeah,
And,
does it
I
cross over into...
I haven't used it on riding it, and I'm going to do that this weekend. But they are developing a PPM that's specific for endurance athletes.
And what about like dance or, you know, other different types of equestrian, different types of sports?
And if you think about it, as you heard Dr. Wagner say, if your knee relates to your hip and your hip relates to your torso, then why not the alignment of your jaw, your shoulders, and your head and your neck muscles in the perfect position? Why wouldn't that be able to enhance your performance as well?
One more question. How much?
They range from a few $100s to a few $1,000s based on how much you want. This one was probably about $800.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Sam. That's fascinating.
Yep.